My son's text arrived while I was arranging vibrant lilies in the sunroom he'd once declared his personal paradise. "You're uninvited to our cruise. Ashley says it's too much hassle with you along." The phone slipped from my numb fingers, clattering onto the tiled floor, a spiderweb of cracks blooming across the screen. But that shattered screen would soon reflect the least of Bradley's worries. If you're intrigued by stories of second chances and unexpected turns, subscribe and let me know where in the world you're reading from. I'm Margaret Thompson, 64 years young, and until that Tuesday afternoon, I believed I understood my place in the family tableau. I'd steered Bradley through life as a single mother after his father perished in a crane accident when Bradley was 12. For over 3 decades, it had been us against the world, a partnership I cherished. The cruise invitation, a postcard splashed with sunsets and sapphire waters, had been a delightful surprise just weeks before. "Mom, Ashley and I would love for you to join us on a Mediterranean cruise this summer. Our treat," Bradley had penned in his precise script. I was so deeply moved that I immediately began envisioning myself strolling through ancient ruins and sun-kissed beaches. I'd invested in a stylish new wardrobe, celebrated obtaining my first passport, and even indulged in a pampering spa day. Anticipation buzzed through me, filling me with the hope of forging a genuine connection with Ashley. She'd always been cordial but aloof during their 5-year marriage, and I'd envisioned this trip as a chance to finally bridge that distance. Standing amidst the fragrant lilies, now wilting slightly from my distress, I reread Bradley's message. The callousness wasn't solely in the words, but in the sheer insensitivity of the timing. The cruise was days away. My luggage stood ready downstairs, my faithful neighbor prepared to care for my home and garden during my month-long absence. I gazed out the window at the rose bushes Bradley had helped me plant as a child. The small birdhouse he'd crafted still hung there, weathered but steadfast. He'd spent countless hours painting it, excitedly describing his dreams of becoming a renowned architect, designing buildings that would stand the test of time. Now, he seemed intent on building a life with no space for the woman who devoted hers to nurturing his ambitions. My hands were remarkably steady as I retrieved the damaged phone. Tears hadn't arrived yet. A glacial calm had descended upon me, almost a sense of liberation. Bradley had finally unveiled his true colors, and I was poised to reveal the woman I'd always been beneath the surface of the ever-accommodating mother. The property trust documents were tucked away in my office drawer, the arrangement meticulously crafted when I gifted them their marital home, the home they mistakenly believed they owned outright. But legal ownership and moral responsibility were entirely different matters, a distinction Bradley was about to discover firsthand. That evening, I sought solace in my late husband David's study, surrounded by files untouched for half a decade. The trust documentation lay spread across the antique desk, every clause perfectly illuminated by the soft glow of the lamp. My name was unequivocally listed as trustee, exactly as I had structured it when Bradley and Ashley took possession of what they thought was their forever home. The phone rang, drawing me from my thoughts. After 2 rings, Bradley answered. "Mom, I received your message. Look, I understand you're upset about the cruise, but Ashley really feels—" "Bradley," I interjected, my voice surprisingly level. "We need to discuss the property on Elmwood Drive." Silence hung between us, palpable and heavy. When he finally responded, his tone had shifted from defensive to wary. "What about it, Mom? That's our house. You gifted it to us when we got married." "I allowed you to reside there," I corrected gently. "There is a significant distinction." More silence. Then Ashley's voice, sharp and insistent, echoed in the background. "What is she talking about? Tell her we're occupied with packing." I had spent the day consulting with my attorney, Julian Vance, reviewing the documents I had executed 5 years prior. The property transfer had been intentionally established as a trust agreement with specific contingencies, conditions that Bradley had conveniently overlooked in his haste to presume ownership. The most crucial condition was respectful treatment and consideration towards the grantor, a condition he had flagrantly violated. "Bradley, I will be forwarding specific documents for your review. We can discuss them upon your return from your cruise." "Mom, what documents? You are frightening me." I almost chuckled at that. Enjoy your time in the Mediterranean, dear. Do not concern yourself about me. I will be quite all right." After terminating the call, I contacted Julian Vance's office and left a message for his assistant. "Please expedite the process of initiating a property review for the Elmwood Drive property. Full documentation required by Friday." Then, I did something I had not allowed myself to do in years. I opened David's well-worn travel guides, the collection we had gathered but never had the time to fully utilize. France, Italy, Ireland, destinations we had always dreamt of experiencing together after retirement, before that accident cruelly extinguished that dream. The irony was not lost on me. Bradley was whisking his wife away on a cruise while disinviting his mother, unaware that his mother was about to embark on a far more extensive journey, one without a fixed return date. I poured myself a measure of David's finest scotch, the bottle I had been saving for a profoundly special occasion. Apparently, legal retribution qualified. Outside, evening shadows lengthened across the garden, and somewhere in Spain, Bradley was likely attempting to explain to Ashley why his mother had suddenly acquired an interest in property law. By morning, I would possess one less property and one infinitely expanded future. The question was not whether I was capable of this, it was whether I possessed the bravery to fully embrace the woman David always believed I could be. Friday morning dawned with the completed paperwork from Julian Vance's office. Every document impeccably prepared, every signature officially notarized, every legal protocol satisfied. The house on Elmwood Drive was now officially listed for sale, with proceeds held in escrow pending Bradley's return from his Mediterranean escapade. I stood on my porch, enjoying coffee and observing the installation of the "For Sale" sign across town with the aid of binoculars. The real estate agent, Olivia Bellwether, had assured me the property would move swiftly. Charming 3-bedroom in that locale. Offers will be abundant by Monday. My phone had been incessantly buzzing since yesterday, Bradley calling from the airport, then from their hotel in Barcelona. Ashley's number persistently appearing, though she had never directly contacted me in 5 years of marriage. I had allowed every call to divert to voicemail. The messages escalated in desperation. "Mom," Olivia Bellwether called, frantic. "Our house is for sale. This must be some sort of error." Then, "Mom, please return my call immediately. Ashley is hysterical." And finally, this morning, "We are taking the first flight home. Cease whatever actions you are initiating." But I was not ceasing anything. I was accelerating. Julian Vance arrived at 11 with final documentation and a celebratory bottle of champagne. "You realize, Margaret," he said, settling into David's chair, "in 30 years of legal practice, I have never assisted in the execution of such an exquisitely elegant response." "It is not vengeance," I corrected, smiling faintly. "It is accountability." Bradley made a choice when he composed that text. He chose to regard his mother as an impediment rather than a blessing. I am merely responding to his choice with one of my own. We reviewed the trust documents. Every payment Bradley and Ashley had made towards the house over 5 years, mortgage, improvements, taxes, was meticulously calculated and would be fully reimbursed. I was not depriving them of anything they had earned. I was reclaiming what had always been rightfully mine while simultaneously ensuring they were not financially ruined. "Where will you go?" Julian inquired. I showed him the brochures I had collected. "I am leaning towards Ireland initially. David always spoke of his grandmother's cottage in County Cork as the most enchanting place on earth. Then perhaps France, Italy, wherever my spirit leads me." "And if Bradley seeks reconciliation upon his return?" I considered this thoughtfully. "He will need to demonstrate that he has gained profound insights regarding respect and humility, and the distinction between possessing a mother and deserving one." After Julian departed, I began packing. Not everything, simply what was essential for an extended sojourn with no predetermined destination. Clothes that made me feel empowered, books I had always wanted to read, photographs of David and the happier times with Bradley. The house already felt different, lighter somehow. For 5 years I had been living as if I was diminishing, attempting to make myself smaller to fit Bradley and Ashley's preconceptions of what a mother-in-law should be, unobtrusive, convenient, grateful for any crumbs of acknowledgement. But I had neglected something essential. I had neglected that I was Margaret Thompson, the woman who had raised a son independently, who had built a fulfilling career as a high school English teacher, who had loved and been profoundly loved by an extraordinary man. Somewhere along the path, I had allowed myself to become simply Bradley's mother, instead of remembering I was also David's wife, Margaret's friend, and above all, my own individual. Saturday brought rain and the initial serious offer on the Elmwood Drive property. Olivia Bellwether called at 9 with news that would prove transformative. "Margaret, we have 3 offers, all exceeding the asking price. One buyer wishes to close within 10 days, cash transaction." I sat in my kitchen, watching raindrops race down the window, and felt a surge of euphoria. "Accept the highest offer, Olivia, and yes, 10 days is absolutely ideal." Bradley and Ashley's flight would arrive tomorrow evening. They would return to discover strangers taking measurements for new window coverings and a "sold" sticker emblazoned across the "for sale" sign. The timing was so impeccable, it felt as if the universe was finally aligning with my intentions. My phone rang once more, Bradley's number again. I answered. "Mom, thank heavens. We have been trying to reach you for 3 days. What is happening? Why is our home being sold?" His voice possessed that specific blend of panic and outrage that I recognized from his adolescence when consequences caught up with his actions. But he was not 16 anymore, and this was not about missing curfew. "Bradley, as I mentioned, we would discuss this upon your return. How was the cruise?" "How was the cruise, Mom? Our house is being sold. Ashley has been crying incessantly since we found out. It is making her physically ill." "I am sorry that Ashley is distressed," I said, sincerely meaning it. "However, you both conveyed your sentiments regarding me with considerable clarity. I am merely responding accordingly." "What sentiments? Mom, you are being overly dramatic. Ashley simply felt the cruise would be more romantic with just the 2 of us. It was not personal." I closed my eyes, recalling the precise wording of his text. "Bradley, you referred to me as an old woman requiring babysitting. You rescinded my invitation to a family vacation with less tact than you would cancel a dental appointment. How exactly was that not personal?" Silence. Then Ashley's voice, shrill and demanding, echoed in the background. I could not decipher the words, but the tone was unmistakable. Blame, anger, desperation. "Mom, just do not sell the house. Please. We will pay you rent if that is what you desire. We will find some other solution. The house was sold this morning, Bradley. Closing is Tuesday." The ensuing silence was so profound, I momentarily wondered if the connection had been terminated. When Bradley spoke again, his voice was diminished, childlike. "Where are we supposed to live?" "I do not know, son, but I am confident you will both manage to figure it out. You are both very capable adults." After terminating the call, I prepared myself lunch and continued packing. Tomorrow evening, Bradley and Ashley would arrive at Cleveland Hopkins Airport and drive home to a house that no longer belonged to them. They would use their key in a lock that had already been changed, ring a doorbell that would be answered by the new homeowners. I would be hundreds of miles away by then, residing in a charming bed and breakfast in Vermont, while my visa for an extended European stay was being processed. David and I had envisioned Vermont in the autumn, the vibrant foliage and picturesque covered bridges. I would start there, allow the colors to heal something within my soul before embarking across the ocean. By the time Bradley learned how to contact me, I would be prepared to listen, but not to offer apologies. Those days were concluded. The bed and breakfast in Vermont surpassed all expectations. Maple Creek Inn was nestled on 40 acres of verdant woodland, with guest rooms that felt as though they had been plucked from the pages of a storybook. I had reserved the Rose Room, complete with an antique 4-poster bed and windows overlooking a serene pond where geese gathered each morning. It had been 3 days since Bradley and Ashley had returned to discover strangers occupying their former residence, 3 days since I had driven north into a new life, leaving behind 34 years of single motherhood and 5 years of being treated as an inconvenient relative. Eleanor, the inn's proprietor, was a woman of my generation who had departed from corporate law to pursue her dream of hospitality. We had bonded over coffee and homemade pastries, exchanging stories of late-life transformations and the fortitude required to begin anew. "Any regrets?" she asked that morning as we watched the geese through the kitchen window. "Regarding the house? None. Regarding taking so long to advocate for myself? Every single day." My phone had been silent since Tuesday. Either Bradley was too stunned to call, or Ashley had convinced him that his mother had completely lost her senses. Both possibilities seemed equally probable. But I was not the same woman who had received that cruel text 8 days prior. That woman had been living tentatively, grateful for mere scraps of affection from a son who had forgotten she deserved more. This woman was sitting in a charming inn in Vermont, planning a European adventure that would have made David proud. Julian Vance had called yesterday with final figures. After reimbursing Bradley and Ashley's payments and covering legal expenses, I had cleared sufficient funds from the house sale to support 2 years of comfortable travel. Combined with my teacher's pension and David's life insurance policy, I could afford to discover who Margaret Thompson might become when she ceased defining herself through other people's needs. "I want to show you something," Eleanor said, leading me to her office. She produced a photo album filled with images of guests who had stayed at Maple Creek Inn over the past 5 years. Everyone in these photos was running from or towards something, generally both. I flipped through the pages of smiling faces, reading the notes guests had left, stories of divorce, retirement, loss, new beginnings, women starting art careers, men learning to cook, couples rediscovering each other after their children left home. "Where do you believe you are running?" Eleanor asked gently. I thought of Bradley as a child, seeking refuge in my bed during thunderstorms. I thought of Ashley, always polite, but emotionally distant at every family gathering. I thought of David, who had died believing our son would care for me in my later years. I am not running from anything, I realized as I spoke. I am running towards the woman I was before I became afraid of occupying too much space in my own existence. That afternoon, I drove to the local library and used their computer to book my flight to Ireland. Shannon Airport, County Clare. Departure in 2 weeks. Sufficient time to finalize my affairs, say farewell to friends who had wondered why I had seemed so diminished lately. The librarian, a kind woman with silver hair, assisted me in printing my boarding pass. "First time to Ireland? First time anywhere, truly." She smiled knowingly. My herald was always the same, deferring adventures until someday. I learned after he passed that someday never arrives unless you make it today. As I drove back to Maple Creek Inn, my phone rang. Bradley's number. This time, I felt prepared to answer. "Mom, we need to talk." Bradley's voice lacked its usual self-assurance. 3 days of residing in a hotel while searching for a rental had apparently humbled him. "I am listening," I said, settling into the comfortable chair by my window. The geese were returning to the pond, and the evening light cast a golden hue. Ashley and I found a small apartment, month-to-month lease until we figure out our next step. He paused, and I could hear the sounds of traffic in the background. "Mom, I understand you are angry, but selling our house was an extreme reaction. We could have resolved this." "Your house?" I maintained my voice gentle but firm. "Bradley, I need you to comprehend something. That was never your house. It was my gift to you, contingent on treating the gift giver with respect and affection. I do respect you, Mom. I love you. Then why did you refer to me as an old woman needing to be babysat? Why did you rescind my invitation to a family vacation through text message as if I were some casual acquaintance?" Silence stretched between us. When he spoke again, his voice was smaller. "Ashley thought you might feel like a third wheel, that maybe you would be more comfortable remaining home. And you accepted that without questioning it?" More silence. In the background, Ashley's voice escalated in what sounded like an argument, though I could not decipher the words. Their stress was palpable, their carefully constructed life upended by consequences they had never foreseen. "Mom, where are you? We went to your house, but Mrs. Patterson said you had gone traveling. You never travel. I am in Vermont, planning a trip to Ireland. Your father always wished to visit his grandmother's homeland." "Ireland?" Mom, you cannot simply disappear to Ireland. What if something happens? What if you need assistance? For the first time during our conversation, I smiled. Bradley, I am 64 years young, not 94. I taught high school for 32 years. I managed our family finances, raised you independently, and built a life that worked. Why would you assume I am incapable of traveling? Because you never... He stopped, realizing how his words sounded. Because I never prioritized myself. Because I dedicated 30 years to ensuring you had everything you needed, even when it meant I had nothing left for myself. The silence that followed felt different, heavier. Finally, Bradley spoke, his voice thick with something that might have been realization. Mom, I am sorry. About the text, about the cruise, about taking the house for granted. Ashley and I became complacent, assuming you would always just be there. I will always be your mother, Bradley, but being taken for granted, that chapter of my life is now finished. After we ended the call, I sat watching the geese settle in for the night. Tomorrow, I would begin the drive back to Ohio to finalize my travel arrangements and say proper goodbyes. In 2 weeks, I would be boarding a plane for the first solo journey of my life. Bradley had sounded genuinely remorseful, and perhaps this experience would impart a valuable lesson about respect and gratitude. But whether it did or did not, I was no longer shaping my life around his growth. Margaret Thompson was going to Ireland and perhaps France and possibly Italy. She was going to discover what it felt like to awaken each morning with no one's needs to consider but her own, and if her son desired to rebuild their relationship, he would have to prove he understood the distinction between having a mother and deserving one. 3 months in Ireland transformed everything, but it was the letter awaiting me at my hotel in Dublin that shifted the landscape once more. Hotel staff had forwarded it from 3 previous locations, and the return address caused my hands to tremble. Vance and Associates Legal Services, urgent. Julian Vance's message was succinct, yet devastating. Bradley had initiated a lawsuit claiming elder exploitation and demanding I return the house sale proceeds. He alleged I was mentally unfit when I sold the property, but that was not the most startling aspect. The shocking part was that Ashley had filed for divorce, asserting Bradley had manipulated me to fund their lifestyle while concealing his gambling debts. I sat in my small Dublin hotel room, rain drumming against the windows, and laughed until tears streamed down my face. Bradley, my responsible architect son, had apparently been leading a double life. Ashley's divorce papers, attached to Julian's letter, revealed a history of secret casino visits, online betting accounts, and maxed-out credit cards. The house sale money had not been about revenge after all. It had been about survival. Bradley needed those funds to settle gambling debts that threatened to ruin both their lives. His callous text about uninviting me had not been casual cruelty. It had been desperate manipulation by a man drowning in his own poor choices. My phone rang. Julian Vance's number. Margaret, I trust you have read my correspondence. Every line. Is it accurate? The gambling? Ashley has provided bank statements, credit reports, everything. Bradley owes approximately $80,000 to various creditors. Some of them are not the patient sort, if you comprehend my meaning. I understood perfectly. What does Bradley want from me? He desires you to return home immediately and grant him power of attorney to access the house sale funds. He is asserting the gambling was stress-related, stemming from anxiety regarding your mental state following David's passing. The audacity was astonishing. And Ashley? Ashley is enraged. She genuinely was unaware of the gambling until after you sold the house, and Bradley panicked. She is requesting spousal support and half of their remaining assets, which amounts to roughly $4,000 and a car with ongoing payments. That evening, I strolled along the River Liffey, watching Dublin awaken in the twilight. Street musicians performed traditional Irish tunes as couples walked hand in hand. I had spent 3 months rediscovering long-forgotten facets of myself. I had taken cooking lessons in Cork, learned to knit in Galway, and even gone on 2 dates with a charming retired professor named Patrick, who had shown me the real Dublin beyond the tourist hotspots. Now, Bradley needed me to rescue him from consequences he had created while treating me as a burden. The irony was exquisitely perfect, almost theatrical. I boarded a flight back to Ohio 2 days later, but not to save Bradley. I was returning to confront him as the woman I had become, not the accommodating mother I had been. Julian Vance met me at the airport, his expression a mixture of professional concern and personal curiosity. "You appear different," he noted as we drove towards his office. "Ireland agreed with you." I touched my shorter, more stylish haircut and smiled. Everything agreed with me. That is the point. Bradley was waiting in Julian's conference room, appearing as though he had aged 10 years in 3 months. Dark circles under his eyes, clothes that hung loosely on his frame, hands that trembled slightly as he reached for his coffee. This was not the confident man who had sent that cruel text. This was someone who had hit rock bottom and was still plummeting. "Mom, thank God you returned." He rose to embrace me, but I remained seated. "Sit down, Bradley. We must discuss your situation." Julian spread documents across the table: bank statements, credit reports, loan agreements, and divorce papers. The evidence of Bradley's secret life was laid out plainly. $87,000, I said, reading the credit summary. "How long have you been gambling?" His face flushed crimson. It started small, just poker nights with the guys from the office, then some online stuff. So, as Margaret's story unfolds, we see a powerful journey of self-discovery, resilience, and ultimately, the importance of knowing your own worth. It's a reminder that it's never too late to rewrite your narrative and embrace the life you deserve, even when faced with unexpected betrayals and shocking revelations. But the story doesn't end here. In Part 2, we'll delve even deeper into the legal battle, the emotional fallout, and the surprising paths Margaret takes as she truly steps into her own power. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What resonated with you most in this first part? What questions do you have for Margaret or about the legal intricacies of her situation? Leave a comment down below. Let's get the discussion going. And be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss Part 2. We'll be uncovering even more twists and turns in Margaret's incredible journey. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when it's live. Thanks for watching.